Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show. This is Sheila Mack, your host, and this is reality at its finest. Here we give you real stories and real solutions to help you rebuild, reinvent, and reboot your life on your terms. Today we have a special guest. We have Brenda Warren. She is the host and editor of Editor's Desk TV show. She is also a retired United States Marine, former hospital administrator who took her life back after sitting on the couch for almost 8 years. All right. Well, it doesn't sound like you had time to sit on the couch with everything you've done. Welcome to the show, Brenda.
Thank you, Sheila. I'm happy to be here. But yes, I have plenty of time to sit on the couch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, and you have so much to share about all the different things you've done working in a hospital, getting through this very interesting universal pause pandemic. That is a lot of experience. So you know firsthand.
Yeah, and working in the hospital made this pandemic, pretty easy for me to weather
Yeah.
outside of the tragedies for family members and for all of the country that we're experiencing. I
Right.
had a sense of peace because having worked in a hospital for 13 years and also being trained in infection control, I knew exactly what to do to keep myself and my family, neighbors, and friends safe.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's great. Yeah, you never know what we're doing in life that's preparing us for something else.
I always say that too because one of the things that I really believe is that there are no opportunities wasted. When you go through your life, the simplest thing can sometimes come back and help you dig yourself out of a hole. And
Yeah.
that's what happened to me because if I'm not mistaken, you are a BSA alumni.
Yes, I am. So that just we were friends and Chris said, "Hey, join this program," and I did, and I've really enjoyed learning more about being on TV and everything. So,
And for those that may not know, BSA is a Be Seen Accelerator that Sheila and I both attended in different classes.
mhm.
And it changed my life because, what is it, July 26th, I found myself, I had hit really rock bottom again. I've hit
Mhm.
rock bottom several times in my life, but this time my 23-year marriage had ended last year. And on the 25th of this year, 25th of July, it was clear that the 1 year separation was going to end in a final divorce.
Mhm.
And I did not take it well. So on July 26th, I found myself sitting with a bottle of pills saying, time to check out. Fortunately for me, I called the crisis hotline, which is part of my protocol. As a retired Marine, I was diagnosed with PTSD in 2011.
Mhm.
And while working as a hospital administrator with 120 employees and 5 managers, I had a complete mental breakdown. And I asked for time off, and they weren't really happy about that. So I ended up not going back to work.
Mhm.
That totally destroyed me because I'm a Marine. Marines don't do that.
Yeah.
The shame, the guilt, the feeling I let my friends down, my family down, my community down. So I sat on the couch, gaining weight, eating Doritos, and feeling sorry for myself for almost 8 years.
Wow, 8 years.
Yeah, I did.
That that's a while. Yeah.
22 different medications, 60 pounds, weight gain, and in the pit of despair now, the whole
Mhm.
time I'm sitting on the couch eating Doritos, drinking Diet Pepsis, and eating everything else that came across my face.
The
I was
Diet Pepsi helped. It made all the difference.
still, guess what, Sheila? I was still helping other people tap into their best life. So from my couch while I'm eating Doritos,
Yes.
I was helping other men, women, and businesses grow and develop and do
Mhm.
phenomenal things while I sat here with them unaware that my life was going to, where in a handbasket.
Hmm. Wow.
Last year, I decided it was time to take my life back and that I was going to take my own advice and I was going to tap in to
Mhm.
what I knew I needed to do to make sure that I began to live my best life. So that's when I walked away from my 23-year marriage and walked myself right in my driveway and started walking around my car, making videos, telling people about the transformation I'm about to make, that I was going to be fit, fierce, and fabulous.
Beautiful. I love that.
Thank you.
Yes. And I think this is such an important message because a lot of us, it wasn't 8 years, but I think it's about 8 months now that we've all been on that couch more than normal. And we have the COVID 20 plus, depending, and, depending on your age and your metabolism and da da da, it can be even more if you're used to an active lifestyle. I
Yeah,
think having to be home and having the gyms closed and everything has affected us not just physically but mentally. And
absolutely.
it's such a connection. And so sometimes it's just those first steps, like you said, you started taking some steps outside of your house, taking little walks, and now it's building back up and you got a routine going. And it's those first steps can make all the difference in life. And there's times we all feel like giving up. This is mental health month, and PTSD is so real. You don't believe it until it hits you, until you end up with a panic attack or you end up having symptoms and things showing up and you're like, wait, I'm strong. I and it's not that you're not strong. It's that when we go through something, our bodies sometimes will protect us, and later when you think, okay, now I'm safe, I'm working this hospital job, then it hits you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it does.
it does. And so it's interesting how that happens. I totally believe that there are ways out of that where it's not a forever thing, but it's steps. And it's just like anything else, it could come back, just like the grieving process. It's a way your body's dealing with things that you experienced. And I know many, many people that have gone through that, especially in the service, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it takes you having to take that one step at a time, because I didn't want to get off my couch. I was kind of liking my couch. I have a comfortable couch.
Yeah.
But uh, my son called me on my BS and said, Mom, you're helping all these people. Help yourself. And so I got out in my driveway, and people were laughing at me. They made fun at me and told me how silly it was that I was walking in my driveway. But it's COVID. I wasn't going to go to the park,
Right.
couldn't go to the gym. I built a gym in my house, but I have some chronic pain issues, herniated discs in my back, and that just wasn't working. But walking was safe, so
Hmm.
I walked my way to a 59 pound now weight loss. You know,
Wow.
and I began to take my life back. I began to use the very things that I teach other people to do on
Hmm.
myself. And as I did that, that day that I picked up my phone and saw the email from Neil Gordon about the Be on TV challenge, because the guy who I spoke to that night when I called the crisis hotline said I needed something to do, I signed up for the Be on TV challenge. And by that afternoon, I was on video telling everybody about my most empowering moment. And when I did, it got thousands of views, which I thought was pretty amazing. But
Hmm.
it was a life changer, because during that time, I got this one message that changed everything. And the message says, I'm a woman in Iowa. Matter of fact, it said, I'm a white woman in Iowa.
Hmm.
Reaching out to you because my son committed suicide in January of this year. And your videos from Tell Yourself Tuesday make all the difference in the world to me. Please don't give up.
Yes.
And I'm sorry.
Yes. This is mental health month. And, it's so hard for us to forget to check in on our strong friends,
Yeah,
those people that we love that are like the strong ones. And you were definitely the strongest of the strong with all that you were doing
yeah,
and leading all these, the hospital group and going through the Marines. You're the strong one. So check on your strong ones. I really honestly believe when I do these shows, it goes out on the air, it's going to be listened to on demand for months on TV and radio. And I really believe that people will tune in that need to hear your exact message. And that's going to make the difference. Just like that one lady, it,
and
you
you
know,
know,
just It's so important to get your message out.
And I'm gonna say, Sheila, in our racially divided country right now, when that woman wrote to me, a little chocolate girl from Wilmington, Delaware, that grew up in the projects, that did not always have the best interaction with people of non-color, to think that I was the catalyst for her to get out of her bed and feed her remaining four children,
Hmm.
and the thought of how selfish of me to take myself and become an unnecessary silence because I didn't want to fight anymore when her baby couldn't take another breath. And from that day, I decided that instead of looking at my post traumatic stress disorder in the way I had before, I was going to change the meaning for it to it for myself. And I began
Hmm.
to say, in honor of her son, I'm going to plan to show up daily.
It's
And
beautiful.
so from that point forward, I've been showing up every day. I get in my driveway every single morning and I walk. And I make quick little videos and
Hmm.
I try to put a positive message out there that will inspire, uplift, and encourage someone else. And then when I sometimes find myself still slipping back to what I refer to as the dark side, I simply hold on to her message, her son. And also, being a veteran, I hold on to all those veterans that are now voiceless because I have to be the voice for the voiceless. And then I want to make it a opportunity for people that don't have a voice to find their voices. So that's what I do now. I
I
make
love that.
sure that I help the voiceless find their voices.
Beautiful. Beautiful. It does make all the difference. And I think about, there are so many parents that have lost children for from suicide. I just had another interview earlier today with someone who lost a child, a young teen, to suicide. And this year it's 30% more
Mm-hmm.
across the board, all age groups. And so, if you're listening to this, this is so important to know that there is another side. It looks like the worst of times, the hardest day, and then there's beautiful blessings on the other side of the trials. And that's something we forget because you feel like you want to give up hope.
Mm.
And that's why we're here to inspire hope to people and give them next action steps. I want to go back to when you ended up, what changed your mind? You had these pills. You're looking on at the pills, and you're like, I'm checking out. I'm done here. What was the switch? What
Well,
happened?
because I have dealt with suicidal thoughts in the past, I have a little thing next to my bed. It's a protocol of who I reach out to and try because I don't want to become another unnecessary silence, but I know I battle with depressive thoughts and those thoughts from occasion. So I made myself a protocol. That was the first thing. And I
Mm-hmm.
was following my protocol. I said, okay, who can I call? Well, it was late in the night, so I saw the crisis hotline number and I called the 1-800 number. And a young gentleman named David got on the phone and he asked me some questions. And I hadn't thought about it, but I hadn't slept in 5 days. So, you don't sleep, you don't
Mm-hmm.
think straight. And David convinced me to take one of those pills so that I could get some sleep. And then he said, and when you get up in the morning, you need to find something to do to keep you occupied so that you don't slip back. And so I did. I got up the next morning
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't plan on joining the Bill and TV challenge because my thought was they just want my money. I'm not doing this and I'll find something else. But it nagged at me. And it was the best decision I made because I
Mm-hmm.
joined the challenge. Like I said, by that afternoon, I was making that video, and then I got that message from the lady, and then it's been like a snowball ever since. People began to reach out, and because of my video, people told me that they too didn't become an unnecessary silence, or that they went and got mental health help, that they spoke to their mother, or because I have a transgender son named Alex, they talked to their parents about being gay or being non-binary, and you know they began to tell me all the things that were going on in their life. And people continue to reach out to me. I've spoken to people all over the world because of one video.
Wow. That is so beautiful. And you're now making a difference. So let's just step back for those tuning in. We are discussing different ways to get back on track. And we have an incredible guest here, Brenda Warren, who has been the administrator of a hospital. And she has also been in the Marines. She went through a PTSD time and then felt very low, and now she is getting back on track and helping other people. So we're discussing the moment she decided, hey, you know what, this life is more than enough for me to live and serve and help others. And there's something about when you're feeling bad. I've had moments where I felt depressed myself this year, and I don't usually go there. But this year, I don't even know what to say about this year. We could go on for hours on that. But and I said, you know what, my protocol for that is that I will call everybody or text, message, whatever, every single person, even the strong friends, and I'll just give them, hey, I'm checking on you. I'm sending you love. How are you? And they'll start messaging, oh, I was lonely. I was this, I was that. By the end of a couple hours, I've talked to so many people and I was like, I feel better because it was just, I was alone. I felt alone. And so instead of feeling more alone, reach out, get out into community in the different ways that we need to right now, whether that's social media, calling, texting, joining groups. If you feel that you have a tendency to go to depression, have those numbers and hotlines by your bed, by your phone, in your phone, so that you have that. Make sure that that's listed for your family. And I think that's really important. And then our young people today, they're so different than even our generation and they have their own expression and it's all beautiful and incredible. And I know lots of young people that their parents have rejected them for what reason, XYZ, religious, blah, blah, blah. And yet it's, even if maybe you have to have space for one reason or another as a parent, I believe there's something even scientific, if you're not religious at all, where you put energy on something. You send somebody love, you send somebody a gift, a blessing, a hope. They feel that through many distances. They're going to feel that, and that's going to help them change their life. And know that they're loved no matter what. Because sometimes we might have to have tough love in a situation where you're dealing with a young adult that may be going through a substance abuse. There's different reasons that make sense, that you're working with a group and a therapist and you have to. And so there's different ways, but sending love. Look, you sent out a video, Brenda, with love and a message that reached somebody across the United States and changed their life. So
And that was amazing to me, Sheila. I'll tell you this: when you talk about what we do, you know, what I try to do is create a safe space for
mhm,
people to know that they are loved. I want every person that hears my voice to know that they matter. I don't care about your gender. I don't care about your race. I don't care about your beliefs. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. I don't even care if you're racist. You know why? Because racists love their families too, and people don't want to hear that, but that's the truth. The truth is, what we need is to love each other right where we are. Try to find that one thing that you can find in common with somebody. You can find a reason to love the most hateful person. I figured that out during
yes,
this whole pandemic situation because there's been some hate being spewed, and I've chosen to just spread love and be positive. And when you talk about how I came back from where I was, that brink of despair,
mhm,
I simply began to do the things that I teach people. I tapped into those things that make me realize life is worth living. And I wrote a book about it. It's called Soul Searching, and it's going to be coming out in November.
oh,
And so
congratulations.
I'm excited to say that I've learned to work on the things that matter. Number one, serving other people. You know, you get
Mhm,
so caught up in your own self and your own stuff, like you say. If you call the strong ones, you call just reaching out to people. And a phone call or a text a Zoom call goes a long way for someone that's lonely. And like you said, all these kids that are becoming unnecessary silences because us as parents are thinking, oh, they're okay. When the truth is, you need to hug them more now than you ever did. You know, my son is 19 years old, but guess what?
Mm-hmm.
Every time I walk in the kitchen, I hug him every time I walk past him.
Oh,
And to hear him say, Mom, you never know how much that matters, because I had no idea how much the isolation was affecting him as a young adult, having to be stuck in the house with mom.
yes.
And so when I realized that, I went out and I talked to other friends about it as well, and they asked them, hug your kid. Ask your kids how they do it. I don't care how small, how tall. If they can speak,
Mhm.
ask them to express to you how they're feeling. And it has averted some situations with people. They call me and say, oh my God, Brenda, you will never believe what my son or my daughter told me.
Yes.
So we have to touch and talk to our kids and our spouses, our
Hmm.
significant others, our friends right where they are. We have to begin to give them a reason to want to tap in and be here and be a part of the community. The more
Right.
we are a part of something, the more we feel less lonely.
I agree. And I think it's a really scary time for adults and young children or young adults, teens, because of all the unrest and all the tension and difficulty that's going on right now. It's the reordering of things, and
Hmm.
a lot of times you have to go through chaos and some lots of negative in order to find a new beautiful positive that's going to hopefully change, really change this time instead of what we've experienced in the past. And so this is the beginning of an entire new decade, and we need reorganizing, but it's scary for young people to have things that are so unsure, or to not know, can I leave the house, can I not leave the house, what is the are the police safe or are they not safe? I mean, this is a real situation. I mean, I have three of my own children, three I adopted. I have a rainbow of children. I grew up in a very diverse world in foster care and homeless,
Mm.
and so I get, I understand both sides of that more than most people, because I've seen the difference on how my friends are treated, or how authorities and systems, it's systematic,
Mhm.
the school system, there's so many systems that have been created that we're taught, oh, they're supposed to be good for our children, for our families, it's safe, and the systems are broken,
Yes.
every single one. So I mean, personally, I campaigned for over 20 years for equal education for all, because it's based on zip code, and it's,
Hmm.
the better the zip code, they have all the funds, and there's some schools that have absolutely nothing, and it's very segregated still. It's very much a caste system, or different, and it's based on something that makes absolutely no sense to me.
And it didn't always used to be that way, but that's again, that was part of how the powers that be made systems that changed the way our system used to work. Because there was a time in America where everybody received the same education, but
Hmm.
then one day a few people decided that some people didn't deserve that, and we haven't been able to reverse that as of yet.
And what comes to me very strongly is, here we have COVID, we have these new diseases and new situations, and somehow these systems have denied our children, all children,
Hmm.
this fair and equal education and opportunity. And those are the children that had the cure.
Right.
Like, this would have been over by now. You know what I mean? Those were the children.
That's true.
Like, you're not just hurting that child, you're hurting everyone.
I
There's,
do worry about our kids' social development because of all the isolation, the frustration with the parents. I mean, when we think about all the things that are happening, the increase in child abuse, the increase in
Mhm.
spouse abuse, the increase in elder abuse. And I don't have the answer, but I know that's one of the reasons why I try to take a positive spin on the things that I portray on my social media, on the platform that I've been given,
Right.
because it's important for us to try to find the humanity in everybody. And I think
Exactly.
that's what's missing. And also, if we could get back to understanding that we can, this is America. Americans disagree with each other, but it's okay to disagree, but we don't have to be disagreeable. You know, the personal attacks, the things that we've seen that boggle my mind.
And
Because
it's embarrassing for our children. I'm like, these are adults. Don't pay attention to the adults right now because it's political season and there's all kinds of stuff being said and back and forth and this and that. And it's like these are the adults. They're our role models. Don't pay attention to those. Be better than that.
it's not, the truth is, it's not new, but
Yeah.
social media has allowed for it to be so widely broadcast that our senses have been just bombarded with ugliness that we normally would not have been exposed to. So
Mm-hmm.
now that's why it's important for all of us to begin to, again, and I use my term for my method, tap into the goodness that we know that's possible for us. And hopefully the kids will be the voice of reason because I am actually very, I'm trying to think of the proper word, but encouraged by the young people that have stood
Yeah.
up and said, not us, that have stood up and said, I'm not going to accept the status quo. And they're raising their voices now to say bullying is not acceptable. They're raising their voices to say, we're not going to be defined by the rules of segregation or when they're protesting peacefully, not
Mm-hmm.
tearing stuff up, but peaceful protesting.
Right.
And young people that are saying, I'm going to run for office. We see more young people running than ever before. So I'm encouraged by all of that.
Yes, I see a big difference in all my college age kids because they're like, well, I never really followed politics that much, or I never really got involved in all these things going on. I know you did that. I mean, I had them so involved. They were passing out flyers back in the day when we had flyers. Like we got to get the schools funded and all these things. And so that's what they grew up with at home. But they didn't really understand the reason behind it, where now it's like, oh, this affects us, this is affecting everyone, this is serious. And now there's a different level of caring and looking at history even and studying things in a different way to really see where we're at now. How did we get to this year? And how can we make the changes that we really need to make in this world? So it is a gift.
It is, and you think about it. When we started 2020 with everybody saying this is going to be the best decade ever, and we were all so excited. And now we are what, less than 90 days away from, yes, I think 90 days. We are 2 months away from the end of the year, and 2020 has been one of the most challenging, and we're still going to face some challenges in 2021. But here's the best part: there's nothing new under the sun. And as a race of people, we've done this before, we'll get through this one. And
Mm-hmm.
shows like yours, where we raise the spotlight on women, and I'm not sure if you do men too,
Yes.
but people that have
Yes.
overcome adversity
Mm-hmm.
and say, you know what? Yes, I hit rock bottom, but I didn't stay there. Because I always tell my clients a thing won't change until you change a thing. And we forget that sometimes. We have to change the way we feel, to change the way we think. We have to get rid of those limiting beliefs that keep us bound and sitting on the couch eating Doritos with a diet Pepsi. Does that make sense to you? It still doesn't make sense to me.
We might have to get rid of our couches. It's gonna be like burn the couch day or something because they are not serving their purpose anymore. It's like we have seats, we have special places we sit on our couches at home, and now we have a new puppy who takes my seat every time I
Oh,
want to go sit down. So it's like, okay, I think she's trying to tell me no, take a walk. And then we go for a walk instead. And it's little things like that, getting a puppy. I thought, oh, I'm done with pets. All my kids are grown. What am I going to? And then they're like, no, we want pets. We're doing online college. We want a puppy. So now we have a puppy. But there's something beautiful about caring for others, even if it's a puppy, your children, other people, checking in, getting involved with the community. Because, like you, when you were, even though you were on that couch, that was saving you, I think,
mhm.
really. a lot because you're outside, you're out of your head and in your heart and helping others. And that's very healing.
I
Very
believe if it
helpful.
wasn't for the fact that I continued to help people, I would not be here. But even in my
Mhm.
despair, I knew other people needed help. And I've always had the ability to help people. But there was just this block that wasn't allowing me to help myself. I needed me to show up for me. And now I am. I'm showing up and I'm powering up and helping other people live well balanced lives while I also live a well balanced life. And that wasn't always the case.
That is such a good point. And I find that moms, women tend to do this a little bit more, but I don't know because I'm not a guy. But from all the other women I've talked with, we tend to put our children first, our relatives first, our loved ones first, even our careers, relationships. And then we notice one day, hey, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I have been living everybody else's life really well, but I forgot to live mine. Yes.
Yeah. I remember there was this one time I ran into a girl that hadn't seen me in a long time just before I decided I'm going to take control of this.
Hmm.
And she made a comment about my weight and how much weight I had gained. I said, well, I just had a baby. She said, oh, you did? How old? I said, well, they're 19. I figured it was time to do something about that. And that also was just another thing of when, there's a time when I think all of us, whether you or if it's weight or if it's the fact that you're an overspender or you are a person that ends up in bad relationships or you have some form of addiction, there's
Hmm.
a day when each person has to take a look in a full length mirror and have a real conversation with themselves and saying, am I living my best life? And if
Right.
you're not, then it's time to make that change.
Exactly. And I mean, for us, things really changed. I lost my youngest son to a heart condition in December and last December. And then we were barely like, some of my grown kids moved in because, it was just, it really hit them hard. And two of them. And we were barely waking up and starting, okay, we're going to the university, we're going back to work, we're doing all these things. And then boom, we got hit and we got hit again with COVID. And we're like, what in the heck? And one day we're sitting in the yard and we're barbecuing and talking. And my daughter said, oh, if ever there was a need for a universal pause for our family, it was this year.
Mhm.
And so there are gifts and blessings in every reason and situation that shows up in our life.
Absolutely.
Yes.
This universal pause for me started with the Be on TV challenge. I became the grand prize winner of the Be on TV challenge.
All right.
I went on TV, got my own TV show, wrote a book in 7 days, which will be published and out in November around Thanksgiving time.
Hmm.
Started doing a podcast, started writing articles again. I started living. I got
You
off my couch.
reinvented. You reinvented your whole life.
Yes, I did.
Yes.
It feels good, and in the process, I'm helping other people tap into their own ability to get off of their couches, put the Doritos down, and leave those diet sodas alone that I have great issues about.
Hmm. Yes. Yes. I know. I know. Once you leave those things, you don't have to ever go back.
But also, I don't beat myself up about it anymore because I recently, Chris and Jen have been so phenomenal.
Hmm.
From Super Connector Media. And one thing Chris taught me one day, I had a complete meltdown even on the one of the BSA calls. And Chris said, hurt people. Because I had some people coming after me for how dare you speak up about this? You're barely well yourself.
Hmm.
And for a little bit, that really hurt me and bothered me because all I was trying to do was be a positive voice and help people. But then I had to remember some things that I teach my clients. Number one, you don't take criticism from someone you won't take advice for.
Right.
If you take advice from them, why would you allow them to affect you through their criticism? The
Hmm.
other thing is just one day, one thing. You don't have to do it all at once. And you can do it afraid. and you keep on doing. It's consistency over time. We
Yes.
all try so fast to do everything or make excuses for why we've not done but just this. Well, if just this is all you can do, then do just this.
Mm-hmm.
But the key is just keep moving forward, and don't give up.
Yes. And you know what I always say about judgment in any shape or form is that, oh, those are just raving fans. It's all good.
I
It's
like
all
that.
good. And when you have a tragedy or a loss or a situation that's so real, you realize all that small stuff
Hmm.
is just that. It's not, it doesn't, other people's opinion doesn't matter when you know that you're on purpose and you're living your truth, and wait, I got off the couch. You know how hard that was. I moved forward this year despite all these things. And unless somebody is wearing your shoes, I always say wear a pair. Unless they're wearing your shoes, they are not going to be able, they have no right to speak because they don't know. And we all have our own roads to walk on and our own journeys, and trials will show up differently for everyone. So there's really no room or place for judgment. And
No.
it goes back to what we started, love. That's
Hmm.
it. Love is all that we really need.
That's it.
Yep.
Just to
Yep.
love each other and to support each other right where we are. And
Mhm.
I tell you, if more people would just reach out in love, we wouldn't have all this bickering and the craziness that we have. And as women, if we could support each other and not try to tear each other down,
Yes.
we would do a lot better and feel a lot better about ourselves if we had the support. If people were not always hitting us for our weight or for our hair or for not wearing makeup or whatever it is that they tear you down for that day. And I think that right now, my attitude is simply that I am going to follow what I heard in BSA, which was Chris and Jen taught us about hope. They probably did it in your class as well. Help one person every day. If I can do that in a positive way, I'm forever grateful.
Beautiful. Yes. So now we are coming to the end of the show, believe it or not. And I would love to have you share where people can reach you, how they can join your programs and get your book when it's out.
Okay. You can find me on Instagram at Brenda the Solutionist, SOULUTIONIST. That's Soul Lutionist. And you can see me on Facebook at Brenda Warren. And my website, which is being built right now, is The Solutionist. Again, it's the Solutionist.us.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Solutionist, soul to soul. We're going to all get through this together in community and in freedom.
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you for being a guest on the show, Brenda. All right. And thank you for tuning in. This is the Sheila Mack Show, and we will see you next time.